Yeah, hi there. We are continuing with Python tutorial. In this, we are going to cover the topic tuple. So, a tuple is an immutable sequence of elements. What it means is the elements which are present in the tuple, they cannot be modified or they cannot be changed. That is why a tuple is called as an immutable object. Just like list, it also contains a sequence of elements. The difference between list and tuple is that list elements can be modified, whereas in tuples elements cannot be modified. So let's see how we create a tuple. We are creating a tuple called as, and we are storing the object uh, in symbols. So this is basically the way to create the tuple. We specify the parentheses, and in within parentheses we specify the elements. Let's say I'm just specifying some single letter, and we are storing it in the object symbols. Now this is actually a tuple. So the way we created is we specify the circular brackets and within this elements which are separated by commas. To check the type of this particular object, whether it is a tuple or something else, we just simply use the type function. So I say type and the object name symbols. So if I run this, I get like this symbols is a class tuple. So it shows that okay, this is a tuple. Now to print out the elements of a tuple, we have to just simply say print and the name of the object. The object here is symbols. So if I print it, it will print its elements like this. This parenthesis indicates that it is actually a tuple and it will print all the elements which belong to the tuple. Now we can access a range of elements which is also called as a slicing. So just like we did in a list, we can specify the starting index and the stopping index, and we know that the stopping index is exclusive. That is, element uh, are extracted up to the index one less than the stopping index. So if I say symbols within the square bracket 0 colon 3, so it will extract elements which are at index 0, 1, and 2. So elements at index 0, 1, and 2 are R, G, and B. So index 0, index 1, and index 2. So if I run this, I'll get output like this RGB. So this element is at index 0, this is at 1, and this is at 2. The next concept is tuple unpacking. Let's say we have a tuple in which some elements are there. Now I want to store these elements in individual variables. So I'll say the list of variables. This should match the number of elements which are present in the tuple. So if I say x comma y comma z equals to within tuple 4 5 6, so these are the elements of a tuple. And after that, what will happen? X, the value 4 will be assigned to x, value 5 will be assigned to y, and value 6 will be assigned to z. And if I print it after unpacking, I'll get the value of x, y, and z as 4 5 and 6. Next is the concept of swapping the variables. So, I mean, it's a very common example that we do, like to swap the values of two variables without using a third variable. In Python, it is very simple. All we have to just do is just say a comma b equals to b comma a. So what it will do is it will assign the value of b to a and assign the value of a to b, just like what happened in tuple unpacking. So on the value side, the first value which is present will be assigned to the first variable on the left hand side, and the second value which is present gets assigned to the second variable. So in this way, we can simply swap the values of two variables. So after swapping, I'm just printing here value are a is 2 and b is 1. Before swapping, it was 1 and 2. Now we are covering a function called as zip. It's a very important function. Let's say if we have a couple of iterables, that is objects like list or tuples, which can be iterated through its elements, so which are called as iterables also. So let's say we have one tuple called as adjectives, in which I have some elements which are actually adjectives, and there is another tuple called as nouns, in which some names are there. And now I want to iterate through adjective and nouns at the same time, that is in a single loop, and I want to then print out its elements. So in such situation we can use the zip function. So the way it works is we say zip, and within bracket we specify the iterables or the objects through which we want to iterate. So I say adjectives and nouns, so it will iterate through each elements of adjective and nouns. Since because these are the two different tuples, so it will return two elements, that is one from adjective and one from noun at the same time in single iteration. And because two values are getting returned here, so we will capture these two values in two separate variables. One variable is adj, which represents adjective, and other is noun, which represents the value returned from the nouns tuple. So the way it works is it will iterate through adjectives and nouns, that is it will go through each elements of adjectives and noun one by one, and at a time it will return two values which will be stored in adj and noun, and then we are printing these values in the form of a print statement. So here we have tall, hot, light, and large. So for the first time it will extract tall and giraffe, and what we are printing is as tall as giraffe. Next, in the next iteration it will return hot and fire, so hot from adjective and fire from nouns, and then we are printing as hot as fire. Similarly we are going through each element and printing it. Now one thing to note, that in nouns there is one extra element, flash. Now the way zip works is, as soon as the smaller object, or the smaller, let's say in this case tuple, ends, the loop actually ends there itself. So the last value that will be written is large and life. So if you see here, as large as life, after that no value is printed from this loop, because the smaller one is adjective and it ends there itself. There is no other element after that, so this gets ignored. Next we are going to cover map function. So map function, basically what it does, it takes two values. First value is the function and second is the iterable. So what it does is, whatever function we are passing as the first value to this map function, so this function will be applied on each element of this iterable. Okay, so let's say we have a tuple numbers in which I'm storing some numbers 1 2 3 4. Now I'm importing one math module. Now what I want to do is to find out the square root of each of these numbers. So we can use a map function here. So what we have to do is say map. Now within map we have to the first parameter we have to specify is the function that we want to apply. So I say math dot square root, math dot sqrt. So math dot sqrt will be applied where, on each of the elements of the iterable. So iterable here we are saying is nums, which is a tuple. So map will apply this function, square root function, on each of the elements of numbers, and it will and then we are just putting everything, enclosing everything, and saying it as a tuple. So it means the result will be written as a tuple, which will be stored in square root underscore nums, and then we are printing out the numbers of square root numbers. So in this way we can, using map, we can specify a function, and then that function will apply on each of the elements of the iterable, and we can generate a tuple or a list, and we can just simply print it out. So if you see here, the square root numbers are this. So one big advantage is that I don't have to create any loop as such and go through the each element of numbers and then apply the square root and print it, because map actually automatically does this internally for us. It will automatically go through each element of this iterable and apply this function. So this saves our uh, you know the lines of the code, and it's a very clean way to apply the function on all the elements of an iterable. So next function we are going to learn is range. So what range does, it actually creates a range of values. So for example, if I want to generate a range of values from 5 to, let's say, 15, uh, or 5 to 20, or whatever, I mean from starting number to ending number, then we can use the range function. So what I'm doing here is I'm saying range, and I want to generate, let's say, 5 to 20, and I say this is the starting number and this is the ending number. Now the thing is, this ending number is exclusive. So if I say 5 to 20, so it will generate numbers which are lesser than 20. So 20 will be excluded from the list. Now if I want 20 also to appear in my list, I would say 21. Then we are specifying the step. So step is how much jump it should take. So it would so after 5, that is after generating first number, it will generate next number based on this step. So the first number would be 5, and second number would be 5 plus 5, 10. The next number is 15, and the next number is 20. So as long as the numbers that are being generated are less than this stopping limit, it will keep on generating, and whenever it hits this stopping limit or exceeds this, uh, it will stop. So in this case, I have specified 20, so it means 20 is exclusive. So it will generate numbers like 5, 10, and 15, because the next number is 20, and 20, as we know, is exclusive here. So that will not be printed. So it will only print 5, 10, and 15. So this is what we are generating, and then we are putting all this inside a function called as tuple, and the result will be written in the form of a tuple which we are storing in multiples of 5 variable, and we are just printing the elements of multiples of 5. It will say that elements of 5 are 5, 10, and 15 in the form of a tuple. Now there is another function which is called a slice. This basically helps to generate a slice, that is a sub range of elements from the entire object. That could be list or tuple. So what we have to do, just like in the range what we did, we have to specify the starting index and the stopping index, that is again exclusive, and we can store it in some variable, let's say slice underscore indexes, and then to the main object, that is in this case I am just first creating a tuple called as things, in which I am just storing some names like apple, banana, carrot, etc. So this is a tuple. So if I say things within square bracket slice index, which is basically generated based on the slice, then it will return a subset of things which I'm storing in another object called as some underscore things, and if I print it, it will print those elements which actually belong to that particular index generated by the slice. The same thing of slicing, we know we can achieve it by specifying a colon, just like we did earlier. If I just quickly go through up like this, here we were doing a slicing here. So this is one way, and using a slice function is another way. So that's it for now. We'll continue in the next tutorial. Thank you.